My name is Tom Vasel.
And I'm Melody.
It's Double Trouble. And today we're taking a look at Mi Tierra. Now you see Melody has a box. We reviewed Mi Tierra several years ago when it first came out. And they just came out with the second edition, which is very similar to the base game. There's some minor changes. They kind of streamlined it. They certainly made nicer components. But we're going to assume that you've never heard of this game before. So let's get that one. So on the board, there's going to be a turn order track, which is going to keep track of the different turns in the game. There are 7 turns in the game. At the end of 3 of the turns, there's a horse show, and then they're split into A and B, and that's basically to determine the market decks that are going to be available. Each turn of the game, players are going to, in turn order, place out their workers on the board. And players will have a different amount of workers depending on how many players are in the game. And there's little wagon wheels on the board. So if you look, for example, here you can see that at the chicken coop there's 2 wagon wheels, so there's places to put 2 different workers. And so players are going to place all their workers, and then we're going to start with each area on the board and resolve what happens. If you go here, you are going to get another pen for animals. Now each player is going to start with 1 pen on their player board, and you can build more pens if you want. Each pen can hold animals of 1 type. So you can hold 3 cows in one of these, for example, and maybe 3 cows in another one, or maybe I want to start putting sheep in the other one. If you go here, you will get a seed of either grapes, apples, or wheat, and you'll place those on your board. These, if you put a worker on your board, and that happens at number 14, if you put a worker on your board between 2 areas, you can take a card that matches one of those 2 areas, but only if there's water to it. So there's water to the apple, but I'm going to need to get more water flowing to be able to irrigate other areas on this board. If you go to spots 3, 4, and 6 here, those are going to give you animals, and the number of animals, you're usually going to get 1, but you will roll a die, and it's possible to get more than 1. So for example, if you're going for cows and you roll a 4 and a 4-sided, you'll get 2. If you go to chickens or sheep and you roll a 4 or 5, you'll get 2, and if you roll 6, you will get 3. If you go here, you'll get an extra worker. The cost of the worker is basically determined by how many workers are left there. So the first person is going to have to spend more money than everybody else. If you go down to this spot here, and I'm kind of going out of order, then we go up here, but these spots here, you can sell cards. Now, there's a lot of different cards in the game. You see that there's apples and grapes and wheat. Those are 3 basic resources. Some things will let you upgrade those to wine and to bags of flour. There's meat. If you get too many animals, you don't have spots to get them, you can turn them into meat. And every card has a 1 on one side and 2 on the other. We have milk from cows and wool. We have eggs, and then we have the 4 super good resources: these sweaters and the desserts and the cakes, etc. So anyhow, if you have things here, if you place people in this market over here, whoever goes first can take 1 of these cards, and second can take 1, and 3 and 4 can use 2 cards, 5 and 6 can use 2 cards, or they can use the black market, which is a place to buy and sell resources, although the prices there aren't good. So each of these cards you take, so this one, for example, will let me sell up to 2 cows for 5 coins each. Or this one here lets me sell up to 2 apples for 4 coins each. Up here, if I put workers up in that spot at the top of the board, that's where I will get more water. Here I'll get more horses. When you get a horse, you're going to put them in one of your 2 stables, and you can irrigate these stables, and you can use apples to increase your horse, and whoever's horse is the farthest at the end of its turn A, B, at the end of turns 2, 5, and 7 is going to get bonus points based on whoever has the highest horse. And then over here you can get buildings. These are buildings that you can put on your boards when it's time to go through your board and you run through number 14, these buildings will go off. So for example, this one here, 3 chickens gives me 1 chicken. Or if I have 2 cows, I'll get a milk. And so there's different things that you can do, and these will give you special bonuses and benefits. And these buildings have to be paid for. This is a unique way of when you place the workers on these buildings, you can place it here in the middle, or you can place it on between 2 of the cards. When you place it, the turn order matters for whoever goes first here. So if I'm here, I can buy one of these 2 cards. So let's say blue had placed here, then blue can buy one of those 3, but you pay a coin for each card that you're touching when you buy one. The next section here, you can basically, if you have 2 cows and you pay 5 coins, you'll get a milk. If you have 3 chickens and you pay 5 coins, you'll get an egg. You can do any combination of those. So if I have 6 chickens, I can pay 5 coins and get 2 eggs. Over here, I can change in wheat and grapes for flour and wine. And then down here, I can get a whole pile of points from these buildings. So if I turn in 4 yarn, I'll get 35 coins, and a sweater. Or 2 eggs and a flower gives me 35 points and a delicious dessert. And so I can get points. Or down here, these are going to be random at the beginning of the game. This is Market C. And so, for example, 2 cows and a yarn will get me 27 points. When that happens, it gets taken away. On the other hand, when the ones over here get taken away, these do not... these are taken away, but then they are immediately replaced. And if no one takes some of them, they're going to eventually disappear. Some of them are going to come off, and then they're going to turn into different markets as time goes by. So here you can see you can sell a yarn for 9 coins each. And so players are just going to go through round after round. At the end of all the rounds, whoever has the most money is going to be the winner. You'll be able to sell off your last stuff for some piddly change, but for the most part, you're going to need to make money as the game goes by. Well, I also forgot to mention, there are little random event cards that you draw at the beginning of each turn, so maybe you'll get more benefit if you sell something. Sometimes there's negative things that can happen. Also, if you run out of water tokens, everyone has to put a water token back because there's a drought. There's a few other rules of things I didn't mention, and the game also comes with 4 mini expansions, like everyone gets a special power, or there's just different things that players can do. They're basically just little more sets of cards. What do you think of these cards here? They're like bubblegum sticks?
I don't know. Bubblegum sticks?
I don't know. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're too young for that. But they're like, I don't know, they fit on the board. That's the whole point of having these cards. They fit on the board, but they are a little bit of a pain to shuffle in the store, I think. But other than that, what do you think of the components for this one?
I thought the components were really nice. I like the actual shaped animals and like the grapes and apple. You can tell which one was which.
Right, they were cubes in the original game. Yeah, so obviously here, it's fun to have the little wooden pieces. But you have a lot of cards in this game. You have cards of this and cards of that, and you're flipping cards, and there's 1 and 2 cards, and there's workers, and it looks cool as you're slowly setting your board up and moving around. The artwork on the board is cool. It has like almost a Where's Waldo type thing. Ooh, look at all the cool stuff. The only problem I would have with the board itself was that some of the wagon wheels are not always easy to see, especially where the buildings are, because they covered them up a little bit. Not a big deal. You play for like 5 minutes and you know where you can place your people. But that's I think the components are pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, when we first looked at this game, it was like, oh, this is a game where you place workers and you're building a farm and getting things. So like, where have I seen this before? And the answer is Agricola, right? So this game's going to be compared to Agricola a lot. That's not really fair. It's not really like Agricola. I mean, it is in theme, right?
Yeah.
But this is a much easier, lighter game. There's all kinds of stuff to get. It's never really a problem. You're never sitting there going, I can't get anything. Do you feel that way?
In the more players.
Well, Melody hit on something, and I want to start by saying I really like this game. I do. But it is very obviously not a good scalable game.
Yeah.
It's best with fewer players, because when you play with more players, you get less workers, which means your chance of doing anything is really not going to happen very often. With fewer players, you can those big giant cards. The cake and the dessert. At the end of the game, if you have like 2 or more of the same, or you have 1 of each or something, you can get like big amounts of bonus points. In a 5 or 6 player game, you're never gonna do that.
I got a cake.
No. I know you got a cake, but I'm saying, do you think it's possible that you could have got 1 of each?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Just and the buildings, and there's lots of randomness in the game, right? Like, ooh, I got wool to sell. No wool cards in the market.
Yeah. That was kind of a pain. Like at the very beginning, it was like, oh, choose, what are they called? Resources. And then I saw like a couple market cards out, and I was like,
yeah, you
oh,
get 2 free resources at the beginning of a turn.
And then,
For the game, I mean.
And so I like kind of picked the cards or the resources according to the starting cards, and then like, as soon as my next turn came up, like they changed. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, and the game is kind of like, ooh, wow, big things here. So you need 2 eggs and this and that, and you're trying to get this, and then you got to go here, and it's interesting. Did you like the addition of the horses?
Yes. I started working on that immediately, not only because they're horses, just having like a horse race thing was kind of cool. But that it wasn't too hard. Like you just had to water them and feed them apples, and so.
Yeah, the game does not take very long. It says on the box, I think, an hour to 90 minutes, and that's pretty close. That's what it says, right? No, it says an hour. Well, it's going to be a little bit longer, I think, with more players.
Yeah.
Again, here's the thing about this game. I like it a lot. I love the artwork. I love how easy it plays. It just feels like it's a little bit, like it's not streamlined like it could be. Like they're like, this is worth 30 coins. Nah, it is 26 coins. And it's like, okay. And I mean, every time I played this, the scores have been like far apart.
Yeah.
And no one hated the game, but once you pull ahead, it's kind of hard to catch up, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I liked how it was like the money is points though.
Okay.
Like I spend as much as you want, but the more you spend, the less points you have.
Right. Yeah, then that is interesting because you get caught up like, I'll spend some money over here. Well, yeah, you're spending points. So overall, it's interesting. It's different, don't you think? Even though I'm saying some negative things about the game doesn't feel like other games. It's almost like it's like, woohoo, I'm building a farm. Do you feel like it's like silly fun almost to a degree?
Yeah, like it's almost a kid thing, like themed a bit, but not for kids.
It's not a kid's game though. It's definitely for adults. It's just light. I think it's a light game that you look at and you're like, oh wow, there's so many things to do. There is, but it's pretty basic. It's not that it's a complicated game. So I think it's fun if you take it at face value. I like it. What do you give it?
Probably like a 7.
Okay, yeah.
I liked it, but there are other games that are better, so.
I agree with Melody. I also give it a 7. I think it's a really solid game, actually. Just that those little things at the edges kind of, some of the expansion stuff, I like the special abilities each player has, but a lot of that's kind of just fluff too. But it just looks so cool. It gets extra bonuses for being something that's unique, I sense. I know it's about a farm, but it feels different than other ones. So anyway, that's the second edition of Mi Tierra. I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Melody.
And this has been Double Trouble.
Boom.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.